Mixed results on climate change. This is your brief but brief. The COP30 Summit, which consists of joint discussions between over 200 countries on how best to tackle climate change, concluded its 30th annual meeting in Brazil, notably being a decade after major countries committed to strides in reducing emissions. The goal, limiting the global temperature to an average 1.5 degrees Celsius before the end of the century. But 10 years later, and country pledges to reach such milestones have been well behind the curve. At our current pace, we're projected to go over 1.5 degrees permanently in just 3 years. And unchecked, we would be looking at up to 2.6 degrees Celsius by 2100, which is catastrophic. So going into this summit, countries were expected to provide significantly stronger pledges, hoping to achieve an ambitious 43 to 50% cut in emissions by 2030. Yet before discussions were even had, major emitters that made up 50% of the world's emissions were either not truly present or delayed the submission of their pledge. And the pledges that were received were significantly short of the desired target. The biggest takeaway from this summit was the lack of commitment to phasing out fossil fuels. Brazil laid out a roadmap for such a transition, and more than 80 countries were committed to making this a legally binding agreement. But to do that, consensus among countries must be unanimous, and many oil states, especially Saudi Arabia, who wanted no mention of coal, oil, and gas of any kind, threatened to veto this, even when language is softened to transitioning away rather than a full-on phase-out. In the end, a compromise was met to make this commitment non-binding. Other takeaways. Funding committed for developing countries to cope with climate disasters will be tripled by 2035. The development of a voluntary framework for transitioning away from fossil fuels while protecting affected workers and communities. And the introduction of a forest protection initiative launched by Brazil to financially reward countries for protecting rainforests and reducing deforestation, albeit short of its fully desired funding. Silver linings, but much left to be desired, as the state of the world's climate still appears to be in limbo. Until next time.